Okay. Yes, so hello again. Welcome. Hi, Cassia. So glad you're here. We're going to be talking about the spirit of land today, connecting with the earth, with nature. Um, yeah, and what that can look like for us here on our, what are we, eighth day of Yule? Is that right? Are we on day 8 today? Hi, Cheryl, in the Denver airport. Where are you going? Or are you coming? Where are you going or coming? Or do you work in the airport? I guess I don't know. That kind of leads us into our opening question. The opening question, there's actually three questions, but we'll go one by one. Our opening question, where are your feet on the earth right now? So where are your feet on the earth right now? Cheryl's feet are in the Denver airport. Where are your feet? Yeah, I guess not just your feet, right? Your body. Where is your body on the earth right now? My body, for those of you just arriving, our first opening question is where is your body on the earth right now? What land are you upon at this moment? Oh, you're going home to Colorado. Beautiful. Cassia on the cozy carpet in Dublin. Oh, beautiful. Dublin, Ireland, Earth. I like that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, my feet are in Nalta, Kolkata, India. That's where my feet are right now. My body. That's where my body is right now. Although mine are my feet are upon red concrete floors, which are really cold at this time of year. So I'm wearing my socks so they don't get cold. Anybody else want to share? Where is your body on the earth right now? What land are you on? And hi, Michaela, you're home in Connecticut. Lovely. Our second question, or my second question to you is, do you know if you are not indigenous to the land where you are right now, do you know who the indigenous stewards of that land are? So for me, here in the land, right now it's the land of the Bengali people. And they would be considered indigenous for quite some time, but there would have been tribes here before. And in India, the indigenous tribes are called the Adivasi people. And so I think there's 34 Adivasi tribes in West Bengal, the state that I live in, but it's unclear which tribes would have actually been in the city of Kolkata. I've tried doing research and I've tried looking it up. There's just not as much research about, the Adivasi people are very marginalized here in India, so it's very hard to get a lot of research into how the land became into the ownership of what it is now. Milan, you want to go to India? Yeah, come. It's a lovely place. So, does anybody know if you are, in particular, a settler or a visitor on the land you are upon? Do you know who the indigenous stewards of that land are? And our first question is, where are you in the world? So if you want to share where you are in the world, and then if you know who the indigenous people of that land are as well. There were Marafocal tribes in Ireland before, as well as Druids. Yeah. Hello, Jesse, on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Lovely. Amy in Sedona, Joanna in Reno. Excellent. All right. So do we know the indigenous people of those places? The Gulf Coast, Sedona, Reno. I'll give you a website that you can go and look up the ones the indigenous peoples of North America. I believe most of them are on there. Cheryl, the Ute and the Arapaho and the Cheyenne in Colorado. Lovely. Michaela, part settler, part indigenous, currently on Mohegan land. Lovely. Hello, Dana. In Ontario, and you've wanted to find out. Lovely. Yes, I have a dear friend that lives outside of Ontario, and she is Anishinaabe. So I know there's a lot of Ontario that is Anishinaabe. Native French, Russian, German. I'm in northern British Columbia on the reserve, the Takla Landing, BC. We are carrier. Lovely. Hello, Jana. Wyote Arcata, California. All right. So then our third question. If you are a guest or a settler on the land you are right now, where is the land of your ancestors? Where are your ancestors indigenous to? So if you know anything about your ancestry, where your ancestors come from, like Milan shared with us, do you know anything about the lands where they are from? 3 hours north. I've heard we came over from Japan. Interesting. Okay, so you're saying you're native French, Russian, and German, and you came over from Japan. Wow, that must have a story, some history there. Oh, lovely. My ancestors, I come down through two lineages, the Celtic lineage from England, Scotland, and Ireland, and the Germanic lineage of Germany, specifically in the Rhinelands, and a small little speckle of Swedish and Danish as well. Ukraine and Netherlands, 1847 to the US and 1913. Okay, so we got some people that know, yeah. I had some ancestors that came over on the Mayflower. I've researched that, so I have a long ancestral colonial colonialism tied to my ancestry that I have been working through. Hello, Ellen from the Philippines. Welcome. Italy, Germany, and Africa, beautiful. Kasia from Poland and the Slavic tribes, lovely. Vince in Italy, excellent. Stuttgart in Germany. Oh, my stepdad's company is in Stuttgart, and in West Africa. Lovely. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing that. For those of you that want to know specifically the question I asked about if you are a settler and want to know the land of the indigenous people where you are settled, where you're occupying, you can go to a site called, let's see if I can type it in, native, I think it is native/lands.ca. I think that's right. Let me actually copy and paste that in to make sure I got it right. Is it right? It is right, yeah. So you can go there and you can look, they have a map and they have all these lovely like color blocks on different lands showing where the indigenous lands are. Hello, Nydia. La Rioja, Spain, beautiful. Land has been invaded many times since Roman Empire. Yeah. Yeah, most of my, I think it's like 70% of my ancestry would have been invaded from the Romans as well in Germany and England. My Celtic ancestors would have missed that. I missed the site, sorry. Can you say that one more time? Yeah, I typed it in. So it's native-lands.ca. And that gives mainly, I know they started with North America, so like Canada and the United States. And I think it's expanded to other places now. Maybe there's other parts in South America and Australia, things like that. It's basically telling you who the indigenous people are of that land, the original stewards of the land. And then an invitation for you would be if that indigenous tribe is still, if their descendants are still on the land today, there is a movement, there's a movement called Land Back and giving land tax to those native tribes so that you can look them up if you want to contribute to that. And usually like on some of the tribes, they have like calculators where they ask how much land do you personally own, whether you rent land, whether you own land, how much income you make, and then they suggest how much money you could give back to the indigenous people to, it's sort of like like you're renting the land from that indigenous tribe, which I think is really, really beautiful. So that's an invitation if you want to do that as well. Joanna, the Nazis forced my Italian and German family out. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about colonization and capitalism. We'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later. But there's many, many stories, right, of how our own ancestors would have been kicked off the land and for different reasons choosing to leave as well. And then a lot of, at least for those of us that are living in places like Turtle Island that are white and descended from Europeans, then colonizing others. So yeah, lots of history. We're not going to go into all of it. It would be way too much for this space, but we'll touch on it a bit. Invited to get German citizenship due to my great-grandfather being forced out. Cost me $1,700 just for citizenship. That's cheaper than it is in the US for my spouse. We probably already spent about $1,500 and we still have one more payment for his residency, and then we'll have another payment for his citizenship as well. That seems like not... Yeah, but the fact that you have to pay anything, like that's, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna like get started, but like why do we have to have borders anyways? Like, can't the earth just be ours? And I know, there are all of these corrupt systems, but I love imagining and dreaming into this, utopian world where there is no need for borders, that we are all one of the earth. Yeah. Okay, so connecting to, and hi Kate. I saw your hello there. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so connecting to this idea of spirit of land, the spirit of the land, I wanted to talk a little bit about animism. So do any of you know animism, or do any of you consider yourself like an animist? Just want to see what the level of knowledge on animism is already in this space. I touched on it briefly a couple days ago. We'll go a little bit deeper today. Anybody know what animism is? Yeah, and you might know what it is once I start explaining it. You might just not know that name. which is all right. General knowledge, identify with the hawk. Okay, so there is often a misconception of animism and I think it's called totemism. So the idea of having these totems, which it's not that. Animism is not totemism. That's been something that's been passed down through some misinformation from different people. I'll share about one of them, but animism. The word animism in Latin actually means, it comes from the word animus, which means either breath, spirit, soul, or life, you know, in that general area. And it was first coined in the early 1700s. And it basically means things and objects like trees, plants, animals, the weather, even like human creations, the idea that they have a spiritual essence that gives them life. So like there's something within them that allows them to have this spirit, this breath, this soul that animates them, right? Because the animate comes from the same root word. And so that's connecting to animism. Like racism, spiders are bad, so they are okay to kill. The life is valued less of a given animal. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's, I mean, so like all of these will have like, there will be a lot of connecting roots here. Connecting roots of, you know, climate justice, colonization, racism, capitalism. They all sort of have like these tangling roots into that is one of separation and one of domination, right? There's a lot of domination in these systems where humans usually, I don't know if you've seen, there's this you know, there's those pyramids, right? And there's a pyramid I have seen where it's like the human is at the top, right? And then it shows like the animals that are like next on the food chain, and then like it goes further down, further down, further down. So it's like that idea that the human is on the top and is the dominant one, right? And that means therefore everything below that is less. And then if you put it into a wider system, you know, like when we look at white supremacy, white privilege, it would be like the white male would be the top and then everything else would be under. The rest of, you know, the different hierarchies that come in that pyramid. And so the idea is that when we come into this idea of animism, coming back to animism, when we come back into animism, we are moving away from this hierarchical pyramid into a circle where everything is interconnected and everything needs support from each other to work properly, whether that is human, whether that is the more than human world, which is how I describe, you know, nature, the more than human world. And so coming into this relationship where we see all of it interconnected and we all need support of each other. So that's the idea of animism, and it's found in a lot of indigenous ways of being and seeing the world. And so you see that these cultures that are deeply ingrained with the rhythms of the earth, with the cycles of the land, you know, people that have been dependent on what the land can provide and give, have these relationships with the land that is one that looks like relationships with kin, with family, with friends, dear loved ones. And when we've moved away from being one with the land, A lot of it coming around the Industrial Revolution, where we moved from agricultural being dominant to like manufacturing being dominant. And that moved people inside from outside work, and it created this space where you were told to like constantly be producing, right? So we're moving from that cyclical way of life with the earth to that linear way of life where you're, expected to always be the same, always producing the same. And so we've lost a lot of that connection. And I'm talking, when I say us, I'm talking like collectively. Of course, there are still people that are still very rooted in those earthly connections and relationships. Yeah, yeah. Love being in nature, spending time with the fauna and the flora fam. Yeah, lovely. In the cities, we have built ourselves away from earth energy. Yeah, definitely. I feel that here. I live in Kolkata, India. I think it's a city, the greater area. We have like 18 million. And yeah, I don't really have one place where I could like put my feet on the ground that it wasn't covered in. There are places I know where I could put my feet on the ground, but usually they're covered in garbage. Like I would have to like sweep the garbage away, and usually if you like even dig like one shovel full of dirt from the ground, it will just be littered with garbage in the soil. And so yeah, I feel that. I feel that. There is a word. I wish I would have looked it up, but there is a word where it's like this word about this disconnection from these relationships with land and seeing the devastation of the land and of climate change, and having this like your soul is breaking, like your heart is breaking because of this disconnection from this relationship. And there's one specific word, and I don't remember what it is, but I feel that, and I'm sure people in cities might feel that as well, and other places, just because you can't really run away from climate change at this moment. Yeah, you can't run away from it anymore. It's in our faces. Aaron, you have thousands of miles of forest right behind my house. I'd shrivel without trees. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. I I long for the trees. I spend as much time as I can in the trees when I'm back at my parents' place, because they live in a very rural town with lots of woods. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, it was also about the time of the Industrial Revolution where this idea of animism became where people started saying that it was unsophisticated. It was just these these backwards tribal religions that didn't understand, right? Like they're just following these superstitions, and they're not understanding, us here, we understand, right? It would have been, I'm guessing, I didn't actually look up this guy, Edward Taylor, who became known for creating a bad rap for animism in the anthropology world, but it would have probably been white Christian people saying how backwards it was, how superstitious it was to believe that that tree or that mountain had a personality, that you could have a relationship with it. So it actually, the word animism was taken out of anthropology textbooks until like the 1990s. So it was like from like 1870s to like 1990s, animism was seen in that way in the collective consciousness. And so it wasn't until about the 1990s that people started reclaiming the word and coming back into, and I think probably climate, climate justice and the climate change probably had a lot to do with that. One of the most prominent people that you might know is David Abram, who sort of like supported the worldview of animism to come back into into our collective consciousness as being this way of life that we could have relationships with nature. Yeah. Okay. So that was like the little history history of animism. I talked a little bit about it under, like, we think about nature under colonialism, under capitalism. How do these systems, thinking about colonization, thinking about capitalism, how would you describe their relationship with nature? How do they view nature? How do they view the world, or the earth, the land? Do you have any words that you could use to describe that? Obsolete. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Obsolete. I didn't think of that one. Thank you, Kate. Possessive. Okay. Yep. A resource to be owned. Yep. Definitely. And sold. Yeah. Abusive. Yep. Yeah. So we see nature as it's a resource for human consumption, right? So it's like nature is made solely for humans. And therefore, because if we're coming under this worldview that there's a hierarchy and humans are at the top, that means the humans get to decide what to do with everything else, don't they? And then it becomes a point of extraction. It's like, how much can we extract out of nature for our own gain? How much can we get out of it? And you said possessive, Cassia, so that idea of like private ownership of land, thinking about, like sometimes it's like bizarre if you like zoom out, right? If you zoom out and think about the earth and the land below your feet, who really owns that? Like, can you actually own that soil? Can you own that tree? What does ownership mean when you're talking about the earth? Like sometimes it just feels really ridiculous when you sit back and think about it for a moment. So then like it becomes very very transactional in the way where the win-lose situation is like, which is funny because it will come to a lose-lose situation in the end, or it will switch. Whereas right now, people are thinking in terms of colonization and capitalism that the win-lose is that humans win because we get all of these things from the earth, right? But at the expense of what? Like we're losing the very thing that sustains our life, right? And we are seeing that more and more as we continue on living the way that we thought we could by continuing to extract and continuing to possess these lands. And so an antidote for that could be, and there's many, many, many antidotes that can help us to come back into a relationship. But one of them is to start to understand this worldview of animism and starting to see that spirit be infused, how it is infused and woven through the land itself. COVID taught me more than anything that geographical lines are imposed by humans, not nature. Unfortunately, it brought awareness to the worldview. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, viruses don't know boundaries. They don't know boundaries. They don't know countries, like they will go wherever. Yeah, thank you for that, Amy. I think in the past, many people saw nature as infinite. We're so much more conscious of resources today. Yeah, definitely. There was definitely that, there's definitely been that shift. Um, and yeah, and I think there's probably people today that still see nature as infinite, don't they? I think probably, at least I've heard certain politicians from my country of birth, that talk about these resources being infinite, and I think their term of infinite probably means like me and my children, maybe my grandchildren. I don't know if they see or they care much beyond that, um, and care much beyond their own personal bubbles, right? And so that sense of greed, where we just continue to take and take and take, um, even when we know that the resources are finite. Yeah. So I wanted to share a quote from one of my favorite books. If you've been around for a while, you know that one of my favorite books is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And so, yeah, let me just read this quote. In the settler mind, land was property, real estate, capital, or a natural resource. But to our people, so Robin is indigenous to Turtle Island. But to our people, it was everything. Identity, the connection to our ancestors, the home of our non-human kinfolk, our pharmacy, our library, the source of all that sustained us. Our lands were where our responsibility to the world was enacted, sacred ground. It belongs to itself. It was a gift, not a commodity, so it could never be bought or sold. These are the meanings people took with them when they were forced from their ancient homelands to new places. You see the contrast there? The contrast between those who came to colonize and those that were indigenous. Or even today, you know, those that are colonizing today and those that are indigenous to the land today. And just a difference of worldview, a difference of understanding, a difference of connection and relationship to the land, and how that can result into vastly, vastly different, yeah, points of connection, or being, how to be in the world, right? How to be with the earth. Yeah, okay. I feel as more people are unconscious about the envy for whatever reason. All right, what's that word there? ENVI. Maybe it's a typo. Environmental. Okay, thank you. Feels as people are unconscious about the environmental for whatever reason. Yeah, and I think a lot of people choose to keep it in the unconscious, in the subconscious, right? Because it's much easier. It's much easier to not think about it. Because if you really took it seriously, how would your life change? Even just thinking about it right now, if like if we really took it seriously, like if somebody said the earth tomorrow will stop producing life, it will stop giving you vegetables and plants, all the animals would die, everything would be finished tomorrow, if we didn't build a relationship today. Like if it was like that dire, like how would that change you? How would that change you right now, today? What would you do differently? If you knew tomorrow the earth was ending, like there was not going to be any more plants or animals or anything of the land. And so I think like a lot of times if you can't actually see it, then it's easier to keep it in the subconscious. Side note, I've been watching, I don't know why it popped up on my YouTube suggestions, but I started watching people that live on Svalbard, which is a territory that belongs to Norway, but it's above the Arctic Circle. It's like the northernmost place you can live on the Earth. And so I've been watching, there's this one YouTuber that lives there, and this one person talking about how they've lived there for 24 years, and when they first lived there, they could go across the island to this one settlement. It took about 15 to 20 minutes to go there on snowmobile. And today, because of the glaciers that have melted, because of the ice road melted, they have to like go around like a really long way to get to the other side. And it now takes almost 2 hours to get there, where it was 15 to 20 minutes. So just in 20 years, like that whole ice road has collapsed. And so I feel like if you're not somewhere where you're seeing it tangibly, it's so much easier just to continue on with life as usual, life as normal, not seeing, yeah, choosing to not see. Okay, I want to make sure we have enough time to do our meditation. So this next part I'll go through a little bit quicker. I'm very passionate about this topic. I could have probably done like many lives on this, and there probably will be more to come in the future. But okay, so this idea of like how can we move from these systems and this way of being that is within the colonized capitalist understanding towards a more animistic. I don't know if that's actually a word, but seeing animism as a worldview where we can be in relationship. Okay. The way we celebrate Columbus Day and the way it's taught in the school system is an example. Yeah. Yeah. How a lot of things are taught in the US school system, I would say. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Amy. Seeing is believing for so many people. Yes, it is, definitely. Oh, Jesse, great. Something I just thought of today, which let me know if you would enjoy this. I would love to do a book study through braiding sweetgrass. So like I said, it's one of my favorite books. I read it last year in January, so it's been about a year. I was thinking about reading it again in January and wonder if any of you would like to read along with me, and then we could have lives where we talk about the topics in the chapters that we read, and we'll have some reflection and maybe some meditation and things like that. Oh, yay. Okay, we got some interest. Fleeta, it's amazing. Oh, Tatiana, excellent. Oh, yes. Okay, I'll type it in here. Yeah, we can start. I'm taking the first 2 weeks of January off, but we can start in the last 2 weeks of January. So it's called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer. I think that is how you spell her name. The last name, Kimmerer. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, there you go. Yeah. If we start towards the end of January, I should give you a couple weeks to get the book. Yeah, if you're not already in my circle Cyclical Living with Meghan Noreen, I'll announce it there. I can plan the book study probably tomorrow, and then I can put a note in the circle so you can know when that's coming. Oh, I did type it. Can you not see it? Hopefully you can see it now. So I just typed the book, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. My YouTube is just my name, Meghan Noreen. The teacher asked my girlfriend's daughter in kindergarten who Columbus is. She raised her hand and said, he's the man who killed all the Native Americans. Not entirely accurate, but enough to have the teacher call home. My friend Melissa said, I teach my daughter the truth. Oh, yeah. Oh, we need more people. We need more people to speak truth to the system, speak truth to the powers that be. Yeah, and I hope more people are raising their children to speak up. Yeah. Okay, so we're going back to this question, how? How can we do this? How can we come into a relationship, into this worldview of animism where we see and when we're with the spirit of the land? Okay, so how many of you have pets at home? Here's like a starting point. How many of you have pets, or you've had pets in the past and you understand that relationship you have with a pet? Yep. I don't have any at the moment, but I've had pets in the past, had dogs, we've got cats. Excellent. Yes, yes, yes. In the past, 2 dogs, 2 cats. Beautiful. 2 dogs and 2 cats right now. Wow, that's a full house. We actually just we're babysitting fish at the moment. Our neighbors just went to their village, and so we are looking after their fish at the moment. So I guess I am a pet owner for a couple months until they come back. But thinking about your pet, would you say that your pet is a part of your family? Would you say that your pet is a member of your family? Yes, yep, yep, definitely, of course, absolutely, beautiful. Would you say you understand your pet's personality? Do you understand their personality? Do you understand sort of who they are? Yep, yep, Yeah, so if you see where I'm going with this, yeah, so you've already, that's an animistic worldview, where you are seeing something that's not human, right? You're seeing your animals and you have this relationship with them. You see their personality, you see who they are, you see their, this word anima, their spirit, their soul, their life, right? And you understand that because you've spent time with them. You've gotten to know them. Each sister cat is another female vote in my house. Excellent. Okay, so that's sort of like the first step. And going like another avenue, thinking about if you have a garden. Do any of you have gardens that you tend to your garden, you tend to these plants year after year, you plant the seed, you water the seed, you grow the plants, then you eat them, you compost them, whatever you do in that whole plant's life cycle. Like preparing the soil in order to grow the plants. Yes. Yes. So with any relationship, right, you have to start somewhere. Every relationship starts somewhere. You start as strangers until you decide, I am ready to invest in this relationship. I am ready to get to know this, what we're talking about now, this more than human person. right? And so it all starts somewhere. Plants in the dining room, outside too. Yeah. I wish you had a garden. Yeah. But you know, like if you don't take care, if you have plants in your house, if you don't take care of them, if you don't build this relationship with them, what happens? They most likely die. They most likely will not thrive if we're not taking care of them. The same way, like with your pets, if you stop taking care of them, like we never dream of. Well, I'm sure there might be somebody that would dream of doing that, but like us here, we would not dream of doing that. And thinking about if we all go back far enough, right? So thinking about like if you follow along in evolution, you know that we are all coming from the earth, right? We're all coming from, the stars of the universe, creating this earth that we are on, creating, all these, I'm not great at like the science of evolution, but all of these, microbes and, these microscopic things in the soil or on the earth, whatever, and then like evolutionarily like have come to where we are today, you and I as humans. So if we actually go back far enough, like we're all kin. We are all kin to the earth, to the land. Like that tree is my cousin. That mushroom is my uncle, or is my relative. If we're going back far enough, and if we're seeing our interconnectedness through it all. KK, doing your gardening now, lovely. Yeah, understanding the bigger picture. Yeah, that's it. So if we don't understand it now, how can we change anything for our future, right? If we did, like, the more we can understand this now, the more we can build these relationships, the hope we can hold then for the future, for the next generations to come. Okay, so there's another quote I wanted to read, again, from Braiding Sweetgrass. In the Western tradition, there is a recognized hierarchy of beings, right? So sharing that hierarchy, right? That pyramid thing, with, of course, the human being at the top, the pinnacle of evolution, the darling of creation, and the plants at the bottom. But in native ways of knowing, human people are often referred to as the younger brothers of creation. We say that humans have the least experience with how to live, and thus the most to learn. We must look to our teachers among the other species for guidance. Their wisdom is apparent in the way that they live. They teach us by example. They've been on the earth far longer than we have been, and have had time to figure things out. Just thinking about how long you have been on this earth, right? I've been on this earth 36 years. And think about that mountain outside your window, or, that lake, down the street or whatever. Think about how long they have been there. What are the things they have seen? What are the things they have experienced? What is the wisdom that they hold? Like, we have so much to learn. We are only here for a short amount of time. And there are others that have been here way, way, way longer than we have. I love that. Oh, yeah. So thinking about these relationships, right? And if you connect to any mythology, and my own ancestry being a lot of it in Celtic lineage, I have done a bit of work with Celtic myths. and the work of Sharon Blackie. If you are of Celtic descent, Sharon Blackie is a great resource to connect with. And this idea that these myths are actually like stories of the land's personality. Like the people who wrote these myths were in deep relationship with the land. And from that, these stories emerged. It's like these stories were unearthed from the land. And so one in particular that I thought of, the Kaliak, which which is very apt for right now because the Kaliak is, this crone energy that is known as the Queen of Winter. At least in Scotland, she's known as the Queen of Winter. And is known to have built the mountains and be very present when there are these storms, like these winter storms on the mountains. That is like, the Kaliak is present. And so those stories came from these people that had a deep relationship with these mountains, with these storms that came. And they, were there in relationship with the land. And these stories then emerged of the Kaliak to give this personality to these mountains. And so what I love that Sharon Blackie talks about is especially for those of us that are not on the land of our ancestors. So if you are a settler on the land where you are occupying land that is not your ancestral land, if your ancestors were stolen from your land, were kicked out of your land, your ancestral land, and you're no longer there, we can kind of do this in a twofold process. So one of them is researching and studying the worldview of your ancestors, if you know them. So for me, studying the Celtic worldview, the Germanic worldview, and how they would have interacted and built relationships with the land they were on. So that's sort of like an ancestral foundation. And then building that relationship with the land you are on right now. And learning those personalities of those things, those objects of the land where you are now, those plants, those landscape formations, the bodies of water, whatever is near you, around you. Building those relationships, learning the personalities of those beings, and then stories might emerge from that. And in this way, then you can combine the two together. So this is also a process where we're not going to, we're not taking stories that are indigenous to those land that are very sacred to the indigenous peoples. We don't want to appropriate those stories. But we want to build our own relationships with that land, with the land we are on. And that's sort of like, that's our hope. That's our hope for the future. If we can build these relationships and learn who these beings are that we are surrounded by. And then you'll see the more time you spend figuring out who are you, building that relationship, it's probably going to create these stories that are going to be unearthed about why that particular maple tree, why their leaves turn red in the autumn and fall in the winter, why that specific lake covers in ice at this specific time of the year. Like learn that about that being. Ask them why does this happen? Why do you do that at this time of the year? Like, what's your relationship to, like, this maple tree? What is your relationship to that squirrel right there? Like, seeing how they interact with one another. Start to see how everything is is woven together and interconnected, and then seeing yourself as a part of that, right? So again, moving from this pyramid where we are at the top and these plant beings are at the bottom, whereas we're moving to a circle, right? Where we're just one point on the circle of everything cycling and moving together. And we all need the support of each other in that journey. I said I was going to try and make that second part short, but that didn't happen. I have a meditation for us to go into. How are we feeling about that? We've already been here for an hour. It's getting close to my dinner time. I'm wondering how we feel about going into a meditation. I could make it shorter, maybe like 10 minutes. How are we feeling about that? A 10-minute meditation. Yes, it's going to give you a felt sense from within of how you can start your own relationship. All right, great. Yeah. My spouse actually fell asleep waiting for me. So he's not in any hurry right now to eat dinner because he's sleeping. Yeah, hopefully you can't hear him. He's snoring lately. We only have one room in our house, so I have to work from our bedroom, but hopefully it's not distracting if you can't hear it. Okay, having a hard time with invasive species. They are flourishing visitors, but I have a hard time liking them. Interesting. Yeah, because invasive species a lot of times are a product of colonization, aren't they? Some species that somebody brought over to a new land that they wanted to keep and then didn't realize that they weren't fit for that ecosystem and they overtook. I think about maybe, I don't know if any of you here are from Australia, but I used to have a friend that was pretty obsessed with cane toads. Is that what they're called? Yeah, cane toads, which have just like completely taken over Australia. Yeah, that's an interesting one. If you meet the invasive species whenever you go into our meditation, I wonder what they will have to say to you. Let us know, Tatiana. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so let's drop in. You go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Make yourself comfortable. And if you would like to, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And just letting yourself come gently into the present moment. Softly and gently opening up to your inner landscape. Letting any distractions or things you're thinking about that happened before or after this time, just letting them gently float away into the distance. As you come into this awareness of your connection to the ground below you. So if you want to, you can go ahead and put your feet on the floor, or if you're sitting on the floor, just feel that point of contact to the ground below. And going deeper still, so through the foundation of the building, reaching your awareness under to that earth connection below you. that piece of land that is directly supporting your body in this moment. And maybe even just taking a moment to share your gratitude for this piece of land right below you. Saying thank you to the spirit of that land that continues to be the solid foundation that allows you to feel grounded and rooted where you are. And then maybe also saying a moment of gratitude to the indigenous peoples that have taken care of this land since time immemorable. So thinking about all of the people that have been through this land, on this land, specifically where you are right now. And thanking those that have built strong relationships and bonds of kinship with this land. Keeping the spirit alive below you. And then in your mind's eye, I want you to become aware of a place on the earth, a place in nature that you are very familiar with. Someplace you have been, someplace that has made a deep impression upon you. It's like this place in nature is written on your heart and your soul. Just go ahead and place yourself in that environment. And just taking it in all around you. What do you see? What do you notice? The colors, the textures. Do you hear any sound? Do you smell anything? Noticing what season it is, where the sun or the moon is. Just taking in the whole environment. And then noticing how you feel in this place. So if you go within your body, how does your body feel being in this place? And then we're going to zoom in. So I want you to take yourself, allow your intuition to guide you to a specific object. So maybe there is one tree that you feel drawn to. Maybe it is this body of water. Maybe it is this specific mountain or hill. Just take a look around the entire environment and see what one being is calling to you, inviting you in. And so going over to meet this being. And we're going to meet this being as if they are one of your dearest and closest friends, like they are your teacher, your guide, most beloved to you. And when you come to meet them, maybe you just want to ask them, who are you? Letting them know you just want to learn more about who they are. About their personality, about what they like, what they dislike. Their connection to everything else in the environment. So go ahead and just take a moment to listen as they share with you who they are. And if there's anything that you would like to share with them, go ahead and share as well. And if you want to, also leaving a gift or an offering for them. Thanking them for anything they have shared with you. And you can also ask them for a message, asking what do they wish humans knew about them? What did they wish everybody knew? And as you listen to their message, maybe it's just a word or an image, maybe it's not clear. Just holding that with you. Because now you're holding this message, and now you are the messenger to go ahead and share that with others. So allowing this relationship that you are beginning to be a ripple a ripple that brings others into deeper relationship with nature. Seeing all the earth, the more than human beings, as our kin, as our relatives, as our beloved dear ones. So you can go ahead and say thank you, share a moment of gratitude for this time of connection and this beginning of a relationship that you can have with this being. And then taking your message, bringing that back into your body in the present moment. Allowing your awareness to come back into your body. So we're going to take a deep inhale, filling your body with gratitude of this new budding relationship. And as you exhale, allowing your conscious awareness to rise back up to the surface, back into your body, into the room that you are in. When you're ready to breathe your eyes open, come back into our collective space together. I would love to hear if you care to share what being came to you, invited you in, and what did they have to share with you? I was taken to a place where I grew up in what is now known as Pennsylvania. And this place that there's a playground, and then there are woods to one side, and then like an open clearing to the other side, except for one really, really large tree it's right beside the playground, but in the clearing part. So it's like full of trees on this side and then one tree on this side. And I felt invited to meet the tree, the one tree that is by itself on the other side. Yeah, and I was just feeling into this sense of joy that the tree has had watching generations of children play in that playground. Just like this, it felt like this like grandparent energy, where it's just like the watching over of the children. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'm not even sure why that came up, but that's what came through. Cheryl, a mountain lake and a fox. Reflection on nimbleness, friendliness, joy in life to remember. A wise grandmother huckleberry bush at a bend in a creek island. Oh, that's so beautiful. Went to the woods where I used to play as a child. Sat on a large flat rock in the middle of running water. that I used to enjoy as a kid. The message I received was there is still movement and growth in stillness. Oh, Kate, that's beautiful. There is still movement and growth in the stillness. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, yes, thank you for sharing. I love hearing others because they're going to be so unique to each one of us, right? It's going to be so unique to each place in nature as well, because we all have our own relationships to build, our own stories and messages to receive and to share. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to close us out with just a few suggestions for rituals to connect to the spirit of land. And the first one is very obvious. Go outside. Go outside and be present in nature. Be present with whatever is available to you, whether that is, you know, with a tree, with a rock, with some water, with, you know, with the weather wherever you are. And whatever is there, if you could just spend a few moments just asking these beings in nature who they are, what stories they have to tell, and just taking a few moments to listen. Listen to what might come through. Okay. Yeah, so spending time, like that's how we build relationships, right? Spending time listening and sharing with one another. I had a beautiful ritual that I did. This won't be for everybody, but it could be for some. I studied for one semester in Canada, and so I only lived there for 6 months, but every inner winter of my cycle, so of my menstrual cycle, the menstrual phase, I would go to this park, and there was one particular tree that I was really fond of that I always went there to like journal and use it as a support on my back. I did a lot of different rituals there, but one I did every cycle was to offer my blood to the tree. And you know, you can do lots of different types of offering. A lot of people offer hair. Here in India, there are people that offer their hair. And so even like as you're brushing your hair, the hair that falls out, you can offer that to whatever being you're building a relationship with. You can make offerings of libations, so that is, you know, offerings of water. You know, you can have, you can say a prayer over the water, a blessing over the water. You could fill the water with any, you know, sort of herbal allies, things that would be safe to go ahead and give to this being you are building a relationship with. Yeah, so any sort of thing. Lots of different things can be offerings, but that can be a ritual to help build a more reciprocal relationship with nature, right? Where we're not just taking, but we're also giving back. We're giving back of our time, of our energy, of our, you know, our ability to listen, and of these pieces of us, pieces of our heart, of our soul, even physically pieces of our being, of our body, to these beings that we are building relationships with. Yeah, some other rituals, supporting local, like smaller, sustainable or regenerative farming practices and operations. So in like trying to come into this awareness of, you know, moving from more corporate factory farming, which is very much an extraction of the land, into finding those places around you, near you, that are doing more sustainable practices with farming in the land that is a reciprocal in nature. And so seeing how you might be able to divest some of your money away from, you know, these big factory corporate farms to more local small farms that have deeper relationships with that spirit of land, even if they don't know it, right? I'm sure a lot of farmers probably wouldn't talk in this sort of language, but I guarantee you they know the personalities of their lands, right? If they are the ones out there in the fields doing the work. Yeah. And connected to that is just like giving gratitude for then the ways in which the earth and that spirit of the land is providing for you. So just saying like a prayer or a blessing before you eat, maybe today, before you say your meal, giving thanks again to the people that have been stewarding the land, the indigenous people from the land. And then again, if you want to look up the indigenous people of the land you are on, and if you feel invited into giving back to that people group as well, whether it's through if they have the ability to like receive donations and land tax and things like that. If you are a settler and occupying lands that aren't your own. Yeah, anybody else have any other rituals that you like to do in connection with the land, building relationship with your land, with our land, right? Because it's all of ours together. Oh, Tatiana, yeah, you already shared that. When you eat, appreciating each bite. Yeah. Yeah, and like it is that relationship, right? That like that vegetable is giving you its life, right? And then at the end of your life, how can you like I've decided that I want a green burial, and so I want to be buried not in a casket or in a like in Bangladesh, there's this company that makes bamboo caskets that then will biodegrade a lot quicker. So then, like literally, I want my body to be food for the earth whenever this body decides to, whenever it comes to its end. And so you can look up some of those practices as well. You know, like the earth is continually giving their life for us. So I personally have decided to give my life and my body in that way, so that I can be nourishment for the mycelium and the fungus and the mushrooms at the end of my time. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for being with me for an hour and a half. It's always so lovely. It's always so lovely to connect and be together. And I am glad that I got to share in these budding relationships that we can have to our environments and the nature around us. And hopefully, like, you know, it is my hope, holding on to that hope, that the deeper we can come into reciprocal relationships with land, the hope of the future, the hope of a better future than what has been predicted, and what we are leaving for the next generations to come. So yeah, if you want to join our book club, we're going to start a book club at the end of January. We're going to go through Braiding Sweetgrass. I'm going to plan it out and then post it in my circle. So if you want to join our circle, try and type it here for you. Cyclical Living with Meghan Marine. My name's not capitalized, but that's all right. It doesn't need to be capitalized. So if you come and join the circle, you'll get an update of when that will be starting, and yeah, you can go ahead and order your books. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, what else to share? I don't think I have anything else. Inspired to start rituals to give back to nature. Yeah, it's been ever since I started coming deeper into my cyclical awareness. That's been one of the most beautiful ritual and relationships that's come out of that. Yeah, and if you missed any of the beginning or you want to do the meditation again, this recording will be up on my YouTube page in a couple hours when I am finished eating and giving thanks for the way that the earth has been providing for me. And yeah, if you'd like to donate and give back to the time and energy that that I provided for you, if it felt supportive and you felt, yeah, if it felt supportive and you feel encouraged to go out and build some relationships with our plant and animal kin, that'd be really beautiful. So I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be doing hearth and home. So today we were outside, tomorrow we'll be coming inside and creating sacred space inside and rituals for our home space. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Have lovely morning, afternoon, evenings, wherever you are. Sending you many, many blessings.